Hello everyone and welcome back to the Farming to Hyperion series. The series where I go from nothing to Hyperion, farming only, with a little bit of a twist. I'm only allowed to gain money from things I get in my garden to eventually buy the Hyperion, which I'll be giving away in my Discord. If you're new here, then subscribe so you don't miss a video. And if you're going to be buying anything from the hypixel store, remember to use code cchloe at checkout for 5% off. Thank you and enjoy. Alright, so last episode I ended off by hitting farming 30 and crafting my first piece of croppy armour. And today I'm going to be trying to finish the set since it's really easy to get the materials. So I wanted to work towards crafting my next piece of croppy armour, which was going to be the chest plate. I needed another tightly tied hay bale. I already had quite a few enchanted hay bales, so I only needed to farm a tiny bit more wheat and finally got enough wheat to craft it. Before getting the rest of the materials for the chest plate, I wanted to grab a god potion for the speed and farming wisdom, so I'm not missing out on any XP. I farmed quite a bit of sugarcane and crafted 9 enchanted sugarcane to use them for speed potions to level up my alchemy. Before buying and consuming the god potion so it would last a little bit longer. After getting my god potion, I started farming for the 45 enchanted big potatoes I needed. I was about to craft a few more enchanted big potatoes when the whole of skyblock went down into maintenance for a few hours, so that slowed my progress down quite a bit. But when it was back, I got straight back into farming and got myself 22 enchanted big potatoes. I just decided to farm them all in one go and crafted another 10. Got myself to 32, then 41, and got the last 4 to craft the croppy chest plate. I bought a skymark brochure and applied it to the chest plate for the extra farming fortune. I only had the helmet left for the set, so I farmed all the hay bales again to craft one more tightly tied hay bale, and then crafted the helmet. I bought another skymark brochure and applied that to the helmet for the extra farming fortune as well. And there we go, I was finally done with all the croppy armour and was ready to start working on my next set, which is squash. That requires a lot more grinding for the materials, so it's going to take a while. I hit silver in mushroom again and claimed all my contest rewards. I traded them all in for a gold medal and bought myself a pumpkin dicer. I also applied turbo mushroom books onto my fungi cutter and turbo pumpkin books onto my pumpkin dicer. I then bought a large walnut from the Skymart and bought 16 sunderbooks to apply to the pumpkin dicer because I was going to use this to farm for the rest of the polished pumpkins I needed for rancher boots. I already had 13 of them, so I was only going to need to farm 3 more. Once I did that, I finally crafted myself a pair of rancher boots and then applied a skymark brochure to them for the more farming fortune. By this time I had a few visitors and one of them was Clerk Seraphine and she wanted 7 enchanted sugarcane for 238 copper, which I went and farmed to give to her. I also farmed for 39 enchanted hay bales to give to Rusty for 65 copper. A few contests later and I had a few more rewards to claim. I traded all the medals in for the gold medal to buy myself a melon dicer, which then I applied turbo melon books, a large walnut and sunder 5. Then enchanted it with efficiency 5. I needed 7 enchanted melon blocks for Zog, so I went farming melons for a bit. I hit melon 20, which then made me hit farming 32. After this, I crafted all my melons into blocks and had enough for Zog, who gave me 57 copper in return. Now it's time to start the grind for my next armour upgrade, which is squash armour. And for squash armour, I was going to need to farm quite a few materials, specifically 144 enchanted melon blocks, 24 polished pumpkins, and 50 enchanted cookies Since I'd just gotten the melon dicer, I was in the mood to get all the melons first, and the melons being the most I needed, I decided to get the hardest part out of the way. Before doing so, I changed my whole pumpkin farm into another melon farm, so that I had a double melon plot, which made it a lot more efficient, and I didn't have to turn corners as often. I then connected each row to make it easier to farm. After farming the entire farm, I ended off with 7 enchanted melon blocks, putting me at 10. Only 134 to go. I managed to get my very first crazy rare drop, which was 2 enchanted melon blocks, and then farmed for the last 2 blocks, so I was finally at a stack. After farming a stack of enchanted melon blocks, I realised my life would be made so much easier if I had teleport pads at the start and at the end of my farm, so I wouldn't have to waste time flying over every time. But I didn't have to trade for it, so I asked in my Discord if anyone would give me 2 for 100k, and someone did. While crafting melons into blocks, I accidentally crafted a melon helmet with 25 of my blocks, so I had to sell it on auction for 1.5 million, which I wasn't mad at because I profited a tiny bit. And there we go. I finally had all 144 blocks for the 3 pieces of squash armor in the future. Now I had all the melons, I needed to change both of my melon plots into pumpkin for the 24 polished pumpkins I'm going to need, doing the same thing I did for melons and connecting all the rows together to make it easier to farm and more efficient. I forgot to remove the teleport pads before making the farm, so they got removed, and I had to buy another 2 off someone else for 100k. And yeah, I know, there was an update where they got removed, which is really sad. Rest in peace. And now, I start farming. While farming, I managed to hit farming 33 and had a full inventory of pumpkins again to craft more polished pumpkins. After a long while, I finally farmed enough for all 24. Now that I have all the melons and pumpkins, I only need 50 enchanted cookies left for the armor, but I didn't want to replace a farm, I wanted to get a new plot for the cocoa beans. But I needed 64 compost for that. I already had quite a few compost, so I just used some of my spare enchanted crops to sell for the money, to buy the rest of the compost I needed, and then bought the plot, and I had to clean it. I ran out of cocoa beans, so I had to buy more and repaste the farm, and it was all done. And now I start the farming for all 50 enchanted cookies. After farming the whole farm once, I had enough cookies to craft myself 11 enchanted cookies, so I knew I would only have to farm the whole thing around 4 times, which wasn't bad. I was ready to log off for the day, and since my rare rabbit pet had hit level 100, I decided to upgrade it to epic for the extra farming wisdom. The next day I logged on and claimed the rabbit pet and got straight back into farming cocoa beans. After the full inventory again, I was able to craft 14 more, which left me at 25, which was halfway to the 50 I needed in total. Just before I got another full inventory of enchanted cocoa beans, I hit farming 34, which was 1 level away from 35 and being able to wear the squash armor when I craft it. I then crafted more enchanted cookies and had 39 of them. Just 11 more and I have all the materials for squash armor. It didn't take me that long to get enough enchanted cocoa beans for the remainder of enchanted cookies, and I got all the 50 I needed. All that's left now is to hit farming 35. Since I had all the materials, I was going to have to grind mushrooms from farming 34 to 35, which is 1.7 million XP. So I crafted another Turbo Mushroom 3 book and applied it onto my fungi cutter, making it Turbo Mushroom 4. While farming mushrooms for XP, a mushroom contest started and I managed to get silver again. Since I was going to be basically farming mushrooms all day, I decided to replace my wheat farm with another mushroom farm to have a double farm. This way I didn't have to worry about all the mushrooms growing back in time, and I didn't have to turn corners as much. This was helpful for farming since I could watch YouTube on the side and have less focus on the farming. I was removing all the red mushrooms because on the fungi cutter you have to right click to toggle in between red mushrooms and brown mushrooms for more farming fortune. So I just made my whole farm brown mushrooms so I didn't have to worry about that. After farming a full inventory of mushrooms, I crafted them all into 56 brown mushroom blocks, which is worth 2.9 million, and I got back to farming more. By this point I'd farmed 70% of the way to farming 35, and crafted a few more brown mushroom blocks. Now I was at a stack and 16, which is over 4 million coins. During this I was completing a few visitors for XP to break up the farming a bit, so I didn't go insane farming mushrooms for hours. I finally managed to hit farming 35 after hitting mushroom 18 and getting 50,000 XP. I crafted a few more enchanted mushroom blocks, and finally I was able to craft squash armor. The only thing I didn't have was the squash because I didn't get enough, so I sold all my enchanted mushroom blocks for 5.1 million and bought the last 20 squash I needed for the helmet, which was 3.4 million. And there we go, the full squash set. After this I decided to check my net worth, which is now standing at 117 million. I then checked my playtime, which doesn't show up because I don't have 100 hours played yet. And there we go, that is the full squash armor. If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to leave a like. Sorry it came out super late, it's because I'm really struggling to edit this video on my computer these days. So I'm currently waiting on a new computer, so videos should be out a lot quicker soon. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to use code cchloe in the Hypixel store, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.